What's going on, friends on Facebook? Franklin Valdez here with the Kai's Company, broker associate, and I'm here today with my good friend Carlos from ABI. We're going to be talking a little bit about home inspections and the importance of home inspections. Before we get into any of the questions, I'll let Carlos talk a little bit about his company and his background.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Carlos with Atlantic Building Inspections, and Franklin, thanks for having me on with you. It is an honor, man, to be with you. We're going to talk a little bit about home inspections and why it's so important to have the property that you're looking to purchase inspected by a professional company. We've been in business since the late 90s and doing inspections for that amount of time, and so we have a lot of history and stories and all kinds of things that we can share with you guys. Hopefully it'll be of value, and that's what we're here to do today. So
great. So
I'm excited.
Let's dive in. And one of the biggest things with a buyer is the home inspection. Is something that's very vital. Would you agree?
Yes.
So why should a buyer, someone that's buying their first home or a second home, why should they do a home inspection? What's the importance of a home inspection for people on Facebook for them to know?
Well, the first thing I always talk about when I talk about buying a property and the inspection part of it is I always try to put it in terms that most people can understand. And here in Miami, we live in a city where you need a car. There's just no way around it. And I would say that most of us in our lifetime have bought a used car. So buying a used car without having a mechanic look at the engine it'll give you a much better chance 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road that you're going to be left on the road stranded. And so when you're looking at a used home, and even a new home, because as your experience will tell you, new homes have things wrong with them as well. But when you're looking at a home and you decide, well, you know what, I'm not going to have an inspection, that's pretty much like buying a used car and saying I'm not going to have a mechanic look at the engine. You're really rolling the dice. You're really just risking so much. When you're buying a home, it's a lot of times it's the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your life. It's the biggest investment you'll ever make in your life. And so you want to protect that investment, and you want to make sure that you're not going to be in a situation down the road. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The Money Pit, but you don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to wake up 3 months after buying a home to figure out that the roof is leaking and that now you need a new roof and it's $25,000. And guess what? Now you're stranded on the road because where are you going to get the $25,000 from? Yeah. So one of the main reasons I think that a buyer should do an inspection, a thorough inspection of the home, is to eliminate those surprises. Yeah. To be able to say, okay, I know what I'm buying, I know exactly what I'm looking at, and I have a plan. The home inspection can also be used for that reason as a guide. Okay, these are important repairs, so I'm going to do these first and these, and as we're going to get into, you can also use it to negotiate. There's a lot of good reasons to have the inspection, but I think number one, Franklin, is to protect yourself, to protect your investment.
Correct.
That's the number one reason to have it.
And that's a really good analogy of the used car. Obviously, I know, me in the past, typically I purchase used cars, and I've always asked one of my buddies to, hey, can you go check this car out for me?
Right.
I want to make sure that everything's okay, because I personally don't know anything about cars, so I have to go find someone to go look at that. And what we're trying to avoid is finding out later the motor is bad. Getting that surprise, and then you're stranded, or then you have to put money out of your pocket to fix it because you already purchased the car, so you're stuck. So it's the same thing with a home.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're looking at a used car and you identify a problem ahead of time, and you decide that you're going to go ahead and buy that car, you already know that there's going to be an investment that you have to put into it, and you're okay with that. And you probably had a good opportunity there to negotiate that price and maybe lower the price of the car based on the repairs that are needed. So it's just great information, and in today's age, information is power, information is everything. Yeah, you make a much better decision that way.
A better educated decision.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you find that maybe issues that do come up that you personally seen big issues with a property that you experience?
Well, we'll go with the biggest stuff. I mean, always the four biggest things are roof, structure, electric, and plumbing. And so in those, to put them in order, I would say roof is number one. And for obvious reasons, frankly. The roof is the most expensive part of a home. It's a mystery to people because they see it from the ground, so they don't really see the roof. So they're standing on the ground, and they look at the home, and they're in love with the home, they're in love with the neighborhood, and it's a very emotional thing, and it looks okay, right, from the floor. But, you know, the devil's always in the details, so when you get up on that roof and you do an actual inspection is when you really know the condition of that roof. So addressing that first big elephant, which is the roof. Roof systems are, as we all know, expensive to repair, replace. We also know that roofs that leak, the water leads to mold, leads to so many other issues that addressing a roof situation is always vital. So I would say number one thing that we really look for is roof issues. Number two is structural issues, because you can buy a home and the door handle doesn't work or a window's cracked or whatever, and those are little things. But if you've got a structural issue and the home is moving or slipping or sinking, or it's got spalling, a concrete disease or what have you, you're talking about some serious dollars now to get that home stable and to be able to actually use that home correctly. So those two being the biggest issues, and then electrical and plumbing behind them. So those are the bigger things that we're really identifying for that buyer. It's not so much about, you know, the rug here is damaged, or you've got, like I said, a broken window. These are things that everybody can see. We're there more to identify things that are just not so easily seen, and that the common person will overlook.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And you guys actually did an inspection for us recently, and one of your inspectors found some spalling in the property. So that was something that we had to address with the structure of the property. So, you know, it's this major things that we really need to look out for, and it's very important for you to know before you actually sign the closing documents and you purchase that property. You need to know all these things up front, so you know what you're buying and what you're purchasing and how to address it up front rather than later. Because if you buy later, you don't do a home inspection, then that's potentially money out of their pocket, and it can turn into a big headache.
Sure, absolutely. And you know, one of the things that makes us very different as home inspectors is education. We're constantly educating ourselves, because the more educated we are as home inspectors, the more reality we can present to the buyer, to the seller, to everyone. I mean, our job is not to go out there and trash the place and make it look like, you know, it's terrible, so that the buyer comes in and is able to knock out the seller and take all this money. No, our job is really to give good information the right way. And in non-alarming, you know, we're trying not to scare anybody unnecessarily. We're just trying to give them the right information so that they can make a good purchasing decision. And that's really what sets us apart. I mean, unfortunately, in Miami and in other places, there are inspectors that come in and they're just like, and they make a big deal out of everything. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to put things in perspective. When there is a big deal, we are going to inform, listen, this is a big deal. And then when there's little things like that, we try to put it in perspective, because we understand that there's no perfect home. If you guys are out there looking for the perfect home, Franklin will tell you that it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, definitely. And your slogan with the company, what was that slogan again?
Our tagline is no inflation or deflation or exaggeration, just good old information.
Yeah.
So it's not about making it bigger than what it is or smaller than what it is. It's really just about giving it the way it is. And I think that that's what the client deserves, what the realtors deserve, what the seller, everybody deserves just honesty and, you know, non-alarming and non-excitable stuff.
Yeah, and that's very important for us. Me as a realtor, when I work with a buyer, I typically always recommend them to you guys, and you guys typically you do all the inspections unless they want to go with someone else that I know, they have a friend or something like that. But it's very important to work with a professional company that knows what they're doing, because like how you mentioned, some guys go out there and their goal is really to put a bunch of stuff on the report to kind of exaggerate the process or scare the client, and then they can come back and have that as a tool. We're not trying to do that. We don't suggest you do that. We just want you to really know what you're buying and have a solution basically to fix the issue if something is there present with the property. So we talked about the roof. You know, obviously I've experienced that in the past with some of my clients where a roof is leaking or something like that. Then you have to repair the roof. You have to repair the ceiling because there's water damage in the ceiling. There's a lot of things that you can go in. There's a long process with that. The electrical as well is another big thing. Can you talk a little bit more on the electrical and the fuse boxes and different things? that
Sure,
you
yeah, absolutely. Some of the bigger items with the electrical are aluminum single-strand wiring, which is a little bit technical, but basically there's a group of houses in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that they would wire this way. So when we do see that, that's usually a rewire, issue, which is a bit more expensive. From there, then you've got the insurance underwriters, as you know, here in Florida, are giving a real hard time when you have the old fuses. So if you have the old fuses, we're going to recommend that you replace those. So that'll be a little bit on the expensive side too. But Franklin, to be honest with you, from there, the electrical issues that we find commonly are very inexpensive. For example, the most common one we find is that the electrical system is not grounded. And the insurance company doesn't want to give insurance. And then people are like, well, whatever, what's the big deal? Why does it have to be grounded? And it's important for people to understand that grounding an electrical system is important because, number one, electricity takes the path of least resistance. So if you have a properly grounded system and there is a straight current of any kind, it's going to take that path rather taking, our lives, number one. Number two, any of that straight current goes to any of your modern equipment today. You've got TVs, you've got all kinds of modern appliances. Everything has a computer in it now. Yeah. And so if you have that straight current, you are really going to damage your equipment. So the insurance companies don't want to cover your equipment if you're not properly grounded. Right. Now, properly grounding a home, believe it or not, is about $300. Yeah. And we see, Franklin, that people just get so excited about this, and it's really just not a lot of money. Yeah. And so, and again, being educated. If we're not an inspection company that's educated, and we come in and we say, "Oh, your system is not grounded," that's going to be $2,500. People freak out. Yeah. But the reality is, electrician after electrician after electrician, we know it's a $300 deal. Yeah. So it's not a big deal. Yeah. So that's why we're the experts, because we can put things in perspective and we can say, hey, no, that's not a big deal. This, however, is more important. And that's important when you're buying a home and you just don't know what's important. And you don't know. One of the most, I think, popular phone calls that we get is from a buyer after the inspection, and the buyer says, well, what's important here and what really matters? And that's another thing that sets us apart is that we're going to go after the inspection and make sure we speak to you directly and tell you, hey, listen, John, Barbara, this is what matters, this not so much. We're going to guide you, and we're going to explain it. And that, I think, is extremely important in today's world where, we're all investing a huge amount of money on property. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it used to be. Yeah. You could buy a house for $40,000, $50,000. Not anymore. I mean, now you're investing a good amount of money. So you want to protect yourself that way. Yeah, and that's what I love about ABI. You guys always go behind and you explain everything to the buyer, to the client, which is very easy. It makes my job a lot easier because honestly, there's so many things on there. My job is really to just find the property and guide them with the contract stuff, and it makes it easier for me, for you guys to come in and basically break all that down, calm them down, and know that it's not a big issue when certain things that do arise in the inspection report. Well, one of the things that I love about Kai's, and speaking in general about Kai's, but as well as the Mainstreet team and yourselves, is the fact that you are after the same thing we are after, which is the best or nothing for your client. Absolutely. And so it's not about making that sale. It's about making sure that the client gets what the client really, really wants at the end of the day, and what's right for the client. Absolutely. And so I think we share that philosophy. I think Kai shares that philosophy, and I think it's a wonderful philosophy, one that you can actually build a career on, because a lot of realtors they think about this deal right now. But it's really not about this deal, because once you close this deal, what's the best thing that can happen to you, Franklin?
Yeah, get a referral. And then
that client was so happy. They became a raving fan, and they can do nothing but talk about Franklin and the Mainstreet team, right? And say, oh my God, this guy is the best. But why is he the best? He's the best simply because he wanted the best for me. And it was no gimmick, it was no game, it was real. Franklin actually wanted the best for me, and that's how he acted throughout the entire process. And that makes a big difference. Yeah. We function the same way. We want the best for the client. We're not there to hurt you, the realtor. We're not there to hurt we're not there to hurt anybody. We're there to actually work with everybody to make sure that this is the right fit for that right person. That's all it is.
Absolutely. If someone wants to get a report from you guys, and explain the process for ordering an inspection from you.
Oh, there's a number of ways of doing that. You can go right onto our website, which is www.atlanticbuildinginspections.com. Right there's a Schedule My Inspection button. You can call us directly on the phone, 305-851-2909. You can text us at that number as well, because we are dealing with the millennials. And I was telling Franklin earlier, I just missed the millennials for years. And so I'm almost a millennial. I'm like a pre-millennial.
Yeah.
But we do have a form of texting us. And so it's very easy to order the inspection. Once you order the inspection with us, we come out, we provide you a full inspection on site. Most of the time we're preparing the report as we go. We're including the windstorm and the 4-point, which are the insurance inspections, which are absolutely needed here in South Florida. Any home over 30 years of age has to have the 4-point and the windstorm inspection. So these are included in part of our services and what we do. So the client doesn't have to then go later and order it somewhere else and pay more money.
And the 4-point and the wind, just to touch a little bit on that, the 4-point and the wind mitigation, that's to get insurance. So they have to provide that to the insurance company.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're buying a home or a townhome or sometimes even a condo, and they're 30 years in age or older. The underwriters, your homeowners insurance underwriters, are going to require this 4-point. So what's the 4-point? Roof, electric, plumbing, and air conditioning. And so in those 4 points, in those 4 areas, there really can't be anything really bad, because they're not going to give you insurance. So we go out there and we do the assessment and we provide that to the insurance company. And we also do the windstorm. And the windstorm is a great inspection because it's the only inspection that will actually give you, the buyer, a discount on your homeowner's insurance premium. Yeah. And I've seen it, Franklin, where it's 20% on the low end, all the way to 40-45% discount for your homeowner's insurance. And for the agents, this is really good information too, because sometimes your buyer is not qualifying or the ratios are not correct. But if you can bring down that insurance cost, then you got a winner.
Qualify.
So that sometimes makes all the difference for the deal.
Yeah.
So and it's a win-win, because the buyer then buys the home, pays less insurance, which everybody wants to pay less insurance,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
And they were able to qualify for a more expensive home in the neighborhood that they really wanted. So I just don't see a losing side to that.
Yeah. Rolly, do we have any questions? I don't know if you guys want to type any questions there. While now I know some people are busy at work and whatnot, but you can also email the questions to us at homes@themainstreetteam.com. We'll make sure to get back to you guys and answer anything that you need. What, like Carlos said previously, what we're here to do is really to educate you and provide you with as much information as possible, so that way you can make the best possible decision for you and your family. You're educated and you don't get yourself in a bad situation. So thank you for watching. Thank you for showing up on our Facebook. Thank you for Carlos for answering all our questions. Guys, great. Nothing but great things from ABI. They're great guys over there, very knowledgeable, always looking out for your best interests. So if you ever need a home inspection company, make sure to reach out to them. You can reach out to me too. I have their contact information, or you can go on the website or call the number that he gave. And we're here to serve you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys, and have a great day.